What's going on, guys? It's Jimmy here. Welcome to our daily show where we discuss everything going on here in our country that you need to know about here on a daily basis. And while Senator Joe Manchin, who's considered a Democrat, is getting maybe a bit of political payback from maybe both sides, Republicans and Democrats. As you can see, the headlines here, Mitch McConnell, the Republican leader of the Senate, and the Republicans give political payback to Senator Joe Manchin, even though the bill that Joe Manchin is trying to get through actually is pushing through permitting, which would largely help out the oil and gas industry, which is interesting here because one of the Republican slogans here has been drill, baby, drill. I'm sure you've heard that here recently from the Republican Party. Drill, baby, drill. And, we've heard that the Republicans say that the Democrats are against oil and they're for green energy. And one of the large parts of this bill is to push through permitting to make it go through faster and to significantly cut down on permitting. That's the large part of this bill. Okay, that's basically what this permitting bill is. Okay, it would also help out green energy permitting as well. It's basically a permitting bill. And Republicans are largely against it, mostly for political payback, because part of the reason Joe Manchin voted for the last major bill, the Inflation Reduction Act, one of his conditions was he would vote for the Inflation Reduction Act. Joe Manchin's got 1,000 conditions for everything, right? He's a politician through and through, right? He would vote for the Inflation Reduction Act after he, went through 1,000 different things. One of the conditions is that he wanted to get this permitting act done through for the gas and oil and coal industries and the green energy industries as well. This is actually a Republican thing that Republicans have wanted for a long time, but Republicans are now against it just because it's kind of tied from the previously act, the Inflation Reduction Act, which was a Democratic only bill. So now Republicans are against it, even though Republicans are largely for the drill baby drill oil industry. So there's a little bit of irony here. Here's what Joe Manchin, and what's interesting here is this bill was tied to the government shutdown bill, which apparently is now being removed from that. So you can see here the Senate advances the government funding bill after Manchin punts his energy plan. The West Virginia senator removed his permitting proposal from the government funding bill after Republicans made it clear they wouldn't back it. So this is now advanced partially through the Senate. The Senate easily advanced a short-term government funding bill on Tuesday after Joe Manchin conceded defeat on his push to combine the funding fix with his energy permitting package. Congress must still pass the stopgap bill, which would fund the government only temporarily through December 16th, before Friday at midnight to avoid a government shutdown, which would shut down the government and put millions of people out of work. The bill cleared a Senate hurdle, which is it's just a partial Senate passing, in a 72-23 vote after the West Virginia centrist Joe Manchin agreed to remove his proposal, paving the way for the legislation to move ahead in time to keep the government open potentially. This has not happened yet. The chamber could clear the bill as soon as Wednesday, though it would require agreement of all 100 senators to agree to this, and then would send the bill to the House. And getting all 100 senators to agree to anything is often a task in itself. Here's what Joe Manchin has to say.
I would hope that, if 47 of my Republican friends have signed on to a bill extremely similar to this, and knowing how important energy security and energy independence is for our country to remain a superpower and also have control of our own destiny, You would think that maybe 15 or 20 out of the 47 would look at this and say it's a time and it's a moment of time. It's basically a time in history. We have never had an opportunity to do this, and we haven't done anything with permitting, Brianna, for the last decade or more. And I don't see a pathway forward in the future. I'm not going to second guess what Mitch would do and what his motives are. I think there'll be a time when he looks back, if he really evaluates this well, that we've never had this opportunity to take a major step forward that we're all in sync with. And now for the Republicans to balk, whether it be about politics or I really don't know why, but I'm hoping that at least 15 or 20 come to the reasonable senses of saying, this is a movement, a moment of time. Let's make sure we take advantage of it.
From what I understand is this bill wants state governments to basically just make decisions on permitting for oil, gas, and green energy companies as well, whether it's solar, wind companies, any type of energy type of permitting, or even other similar type of things. They just want them to make decisions within 1 to 3 years. Right now, some of this permitting process can take up to 10 years, which really, you think of the bureaucratic process. Imagine if you were applying for solar, wind, or gas pipeline or anything along those lines in your city, and it took 10 years. That does seem absolutely ridiculous. So I don't agree with Joe Manchin on a lot of things. In this case, I actually agree with him. Now, Bernie Sanders is upset because this could push through some other things that would pollute the environment and make things, that some things that he thinks shouldn't be pushed through. But on the other hand, this does not mean that they would be pushed through. It just makes it so state and local governments would have to make the decisions faster in a 1 to 3 year time frame. I think that's pretty reasonable. And again, there's a lot of caveats. You have to read through a bill at state and local governments. I don't know. If you look at each bill, you could find pros and cons of almost anything. You could talk to Republicans or Democrats on any bill, and it seems whoever you talk to, you could put me on a debate team and I could give you the pros and cons of anything and make it seem like totally evil or totally like the best bill ever. In this case, it probably seems like they should push something like this through because it shouldn't take 10 years for a permitting process to go through, whether it's for the oil and gas industry or solar industry or wind power or anything. I mean, we're honestly in an energy crisis in our country, whatever type of energy it is. It shouldn't take 10 years to get done, or 7 years, or 5 years. It's a bit ridiculous. I mean, let me know your thoughts here. And honestly, if it's going to add massive amounts of pollution and have environmental problems, and I mean, right now we're looking at a massive Nord Stream pipeline, natural gas pipeline explosion carrying Russian gas here over in Europe. So some of these things don't get approved. Some pipelines are deemed to be too dangerous for exact things like this, especially if they're underwater. Okay. So right now, this is literally spilling thousands or millions of gallons of gas into the ocean. So it's not necessarily that everything gets approved. All they're saying is that they want them to make the decision whether or not it gets approved in a reasonable time frame of a couple years. I personally think that is reasonable. Just make a decision, yes or no. Don't make it take 10 years. Now, I understand that they have to do surveys, they have to do the process. The U.S. Army Corps of Engineers has to sometimes come in, and sometimes that can take over a year. I understand that. So there is some pros and cons to this bill. And the default can't just be that if there's not enough time that we just say yes to the project. So, like I said, it's a complicated issue, and you can let me know your thoughts here in the comments. You can't just make a decision on this sometimes if you don't know enough about the information. That's why you kind of got to look into it. And that's why it's a complicated issue sometimes. What's interesting to note here, you can see here Biden's request for emergency pandemic virus money and monkeypox money is missing from the funding bill as of now. A White House request for emergency funding to support the coronavirus and monkeypox response efforts is missing from the must pass spending bill rolled out by Senate Democrats after staunch Republican opposition. And honestly, this is because Republicans probably just won't vote for it. Republicans wouldn't vote for recent virus money because they simply said that there was too much leftover money and that it should just be used from that. Probably says it here actually. The White House pushed for billions of dollars in funding to bolster these efforts, and the request has drawn considerable pushback from Senate Republicans who have pushed for the funding to be offset. Republicans express more opposition to the funding. Republicans express instead saying that the administration should turn to resources previously allocated. Quote, there's ample revenue that's been provided to the administration to be able to deal with medical emergencies of this nature, aka leftover stimulus money. Also, what's interesting here, the CDC no longer recommends universal masking in health facilities. I'm completely flabbergasted by this one. You guys can let me know your thoughts on this, but imagine walking into a health facility like a hospital and masks aren't required. Um, I mean, it's not like the pandemic's over here. I mean, you can actually see here just in the last day or two, the most recent data here 58,000 new people just tested positive with the virus in the most recent day of data here, September 26th. So 58,000 new people just tested positive per day. The average 7-day average, 52,000 people testing positive every single day. And remember, these are only people that go to an official testing facility like a hospital or one of those drive-through testing zones. This does not include the people that just use the at-home tests. Remember, the government sent out tens of millions of those, maybe even hundreds of millions of those. And if you take one of those and don't send it in, none of those are counted. So who knows how many people are actually testing positive every day. But I mean, you can let me know your thoughts on this. So it's not like the pandemic's over. So if you're in a hospital, you would think you would want people to wear masks. Now I get that the grocery store and different other places is a totally different scenario, but a hospital or a doctor's office, that's like a different scenario, right? Now remember, the doctor's office and hospitals can still require you to wear them on that's their decision, but I mean, you can see here the US 95.9 total cases. These are only 95 million. These are the only ones that have been reported, okay? And over 1.05 million deaths. And my thoughts and prayers go out to anybody that has had a family member pass or was dealing with this. I've seen hundreds, if not thousands, of comments from some of our viewers here on the from our YouTube community. So my thoughts and prayers go out to everybody that has dealt with this. Um, yeah, I mean it's 100 million people that have tested positive just at official testing facilities. That's a third of our entire country. And who knows how many other people that just took at-home tests or didn't even go get tested. I mean, that's a lot, right? And 5 more migrant buses arrive in New York City as Mayor Adams' tent city construction begins. Parking lot in the Bronx in New York City being turned into a migrant processing center. As this continues to happen all around the country, this just continues to make headlines here. Check this out. Yeah, you can see here these guys getting off here in a in an area here. I don't know if I guess they were expecting them, but yeah. So five more buses with what looks like hundreds of migrants coming in here to New York City. Um, yeah, looks like they're welcoming them with open arms. It looks like they were at least expecting them. Let me know your thoughts here. This is just happening. It looks like on a daily basis at this point. These ones came from El Paso, Texas. More than 10,000 migrants have been bused from just since April from Texas to New York City. So just since April and just to New York City alone from Texas. That shows you how many migrants are being bused from Texas, and this is just to New York City just since April. Wow, that is a lot in such a short amount of time. Let me know your thoughts here on this. And I'm expected to have more information here for you later today on the massive meeting here for SNAP benefits and food benefits here that is happening here today. You can see here Biden's strategy to end hunger in the U.S. includes more benefits. This is happening here today with a massive food SNAP benefits going on here today. I do want to show this here. This is the food SNAP benefits here for the emergency allotments bonus money. This is pandemic emergency stimulus money. This is literally because of the pandemic. Okay, so this is a stimulus money here that's going on. I'll start with September here since, it's kind of still September. These are all the states that have announced bonus money. This is up to $95 extra per family. Here's the states that have announced it here for the month of September: Alabama, California, Colorado, Connecticut, Delaware, D.C., District of Columbia, Guam, a U.S. territory, Hawaii, Illinois, Kansas, Louisiana, Maine, Maryland, Massachusetts, Michigan, Minnesota, New Jersey, New Hampshire, New Mexico, New York, North Carolina, Ohio, Oklahoma, Oregon, Pennsylvania, Rhode Island, South Carolina, Texas, Vermont, Virginia, Utah, the U.S. Virgin Islands, Washington, West Virginia, and Wisconsin. So we have about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 times 4, about 36, 35 states there or so for the month of September. There could be a few more added in there. Sometimes they're added in even after the month is over. Here is the month so far already announced for October, already having a few states added, even though October hasn't started yet: Alabama, Colorado, District of Columbia, Hawaii, Illinois, Kansas, Louisiana, Maine, New Jersey, New Mexico, North Carolina, Oregon, Pennsylvania, Rhode Island, South Carolina, Texas, Utah, Virginia, Washington, West Virginia, and Wisconsin. Again, this gives bonus money to families on the SNAP food stamp program. It's like 40 million people. I think it's a little bit over 40 million people, and we're going to have potentially a big announcement coming maybe today, maybe later today, maybe in my next video or two. Remember, new videos come out here every day, 10 a.m., 3 p.m., and 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We could have big raises, could include the WIC program. It could have new eligibility requirements. It could include more benefits. We'll have to see here. We're also starting to see some states already announce new benefits more raises on state levels. Some states already coming out kind of early, preemptively with on the state level, a little bit ahead of the federal announcements here. Some states already raising benefits as well. You can comment down below in the comment section. I seen an announcement on Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania raised the eligibility limit up to 200% of the federal poverty limit. Okay, so that made like I think it was 420,000 people eligible now more in Pennsylvania. So 420,000 more people eligible to get food stamp benefits just in the state of Pennsylvania. Um, Comment down below if you've seen anything in your state. I've seen a lot of different people commenting that they got a letter or an email or something from their state saying that they're going to be getting a raise from their state. Comment down below your state if you've seen something, if you're getting a raise. That would dramatically help out our community. And I'll have more updates for you guys here in the next video or two. Remember, new videos come out here every day at 10 a.m., 3 p.m., and 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Remember, I cover everything here on our channel that pertains to you, our country, and money. I cover everything from food stamps, SNAP, stimulus checks, student loan forgiveness, Social Security raises, pretty much everything. There's 32 different states that are passing or have already passed state stimulus checks, tax rebate checks, property tax rebate checks, and lowering taxes. 32 states have already passed them. I can't even name all 32 off the top of my head, but if you've been watching my channel, you know this. California has up to $1,050 checks coming out here in October. That's one of the biggest ones coming out here in the next few days. Those are for 23 million plus people. So that's the largest one population wise. So that's the largest one dollar wise was Alaska of $3,200. That was the largest one dollar wise. So another large one was Maine of $850 per person or $1,700 for married couples. That was another pretty good one as well. I'll keep up to date here on all these going on here on a daily basis. So make sure to subscribe down below to our YouTube channel. Just click the subscribe button. Then the bell icon is completely free to do so. Just makes it so you won't miss out on our new videos and it'll keep you up to date. Remember, our new videos come out here every day, 10 a.m., 3 p.m., and 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Don't forget to hit the like button for us down below if you like our videos. And you can click this video here next to see some new checks that are coming out here on October 7th. And here is my newest video on Social Security raises of up to $2,400. So click on one of those videos next. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next video.